All right, welcome to the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. This is an exciting podcast tonight for me because it's UFO talk. We have Jeannie Kessler here, her husband Sean Kessler, and my good friend Renard Fox that I've known for a very long time, and he reached out when I told him about the UFO talk we're going to have tonight, and I don't even know where to begin, but you have this. Let's talk about like your history of just with UFOs.
Well, when I first got in, I don't know how it happened. I just know something came up because my dad had passed away and something paranormal happened after that. And then I kind of came across something on YouTube that had to do with Charles James Hall. He was in the military, and I got his books and I watched his videos, and it just turned my life upside down, thinking that if this is real, if this is true, what does this mean to me personally? What is this? You know, it just changed my life in a way. So
this was a book you read back how many years ago?
10 years ago.
10 years ago?
It was around the time my dad passed away, yeah.
So before this, your thoughts on UFOs? And
I don't know. I kind of just was curious a little bit, but I wasn't really that into it until this paranormal thing happened with my dad. And then I got interested because I thought, what happened? What was this, an ET? Was this a spiritual guide? What was this? I didn't know what it was.
Sean, when did you become interested with this? When your wife did?
Shortly after she did. Yeah, we read the Charles Hall book called what's it called again, Jeannie? It's all about the tall whites.
He's got different books.
These ETs are supposed to be 3 to 4 light years away from us. They're like the closest. They're real pale skin and tall, very tall.
Right.
They're extremely reflex. They can snap your neck in a matter of seconds. They're
ridiculously fast.
Yeah, and they're, Charles Hall was he was just a meteorologist, wasn't he? He was a weatherman. He did the weather and just kind of, let people know within the military. When he was doing his little things out, he came across them. They were out in the desert because they float on these things. They go over 100 miles an hour and they can go across vast parts of a desert in there, and they kind of glow when you see them. And
it was called something about a horse or something. They called it something.
Right.
I wish I could remember exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But they called it something that when they talked about it on the base.
Are you talking about when they talk?
No, on the base they referred to the phenomena as something about a horse or something that they saw them coming.
Oh, correct, yeah.
And because they were floating and just going along.
Yeah, well, when they talk, they have this. It sounds like a horse when they talk. Kind of like a
they communicated with different noises,
right?
Like
high pitched or something,
like a horse noises and bird noises.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It was strange, and he said that they would make these noises out in the desert, and he would think, he'd see their heads pop up behind the.
Like what area in the desert? Are you talking like New Mexico, Arizona?
It was in Nevada.
They were actually going they would go with military because they were on the military base. They were under the umbrella of them, and they were fixing their craft or something, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they got parts directly from Boeing and stuff, and
they did that in there.
When they went inside
the craft,
there was all this. You could see ID marks from Boeing and Lockheed Martin and all this stuff, and it's like
because they were giving them the parts and everything, and
they were given freedom too.
Yeah.
They would go into.
They built them the base on there.
Right.
They built the base for them.
Off from there, but they also had the freedom to go into. They liked to gamble, believe it or not, in Nevada,
there in Las Vegas. Yeah.
They said when they wear stuff, you can't has distinguished them. As long as they put something on their eyes, they just look like somebody who's extremely thin
and pale.
And
they were white. I mean, they were chalk
I've
white.
Seen a bunch of pale white people before.
Yeah, you never know, Dustin.
Yeah.
I mean,
but before we get into all this with this book, Renard, talk about your fascination with UFOs, and then kind of like how you got interested in just.
Well, it started in my early 20s. You know, I kind of, had started rabbit holing things on YouTube initially, but then just kind of got attracted to fringe things in general. But then I discovered David Wilcock.
Oh,
and then back when nobody knew who he was, and I just kind of like dove into it from there. Charles Hall, I'm actually not quite as familiar with him as I should be. But I'm aware of who you're talking about. But and then growing up in aviation and things, my father was a helicopter pilot.
Cool. Okay.
For the Army and National Guard, and and just hearing stories there. And
he had stories?
No, he had stories, but just being around in that environment, just hearing this and that's and weird anomalies and things, and then I just kind of got into that, and I discovered a really interesting character, Daryl Anka, who channels an entity named Bashar.
Yeah, Bashar. Yeah, I know who that is. Yeah, he's entertaining.
Yeah, and then
I like him.
Yeah. I mean, real or not, apparently his information helps people.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
It does.
It's kind of strange. I mean, he doesn't remember anything he says after he does it.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Because he says so much, there's no way it's not, he is channeling somebody. He has to be.
How are you all?
Yeah, there it is. Perfect. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I like watching him. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just, again, this is and that's and other things just over the years, so...
that's cool.
And I'm curious to hear more of what you have to say.
Oh, okay.
Our experiences or what we just know?
We've had some experiences too.
Everything.
Well, talk about your paranoid experience, and I'll probably kind of go into the what you're talking about with this R.
I've had paranormal experiences my whole life. Just kind of strange things going on.
Well, the example. Let's hear.
Okay, well, if you want to hear the earliest, my mother told me that I was, I don't know how old I was, 2.5, 2. I was standing in a hallway. They were renting a house, and it was a long green hallway with doors down both sides. And I would just scream. Something I saw something. I mean, when kids are little and animals will see things that they don't, other people can't see. They can see, the other realm.
Well, they're unfiltered.
Right. And I saw something, but I would scream at the end of the hall. Something I saw.
Scared your mom to death.
Yeah, scared her to death. And she would pick me up and say, come on, there's nothing down here. And she would go down the hall and open the doors and look, these are empty doors. They're empty closets. There's a bunch of closets down the hall. They never figured out what this hall was for with all these closets. They thought it had to be with storage and it was some kind of farm at one time, but she wasn't sure. They were renting it, so it scared her. So I saw something. I don't know exactly what I saw because I don't remember, but I do remember getting older and seeing something when I was 19. I did see, but there was things going on because we were poor. We didn't have a lot, and we lived in a trailer. And that's when we moved here to Missouri anyway. We didn't have a lot because my dad had lost his job in Texas. So, but anyway, we just didn't have a lot. But even in Texas, there was something that happened strange there when I was little. There was something I saw that even my brother saw, and my mother wanted to know what it was, and she said, can you draw this thing that you saw? Because we didn't really talk about it. We just knew we saw it, and we kept telling her about it. And we both drew it, and it was the same thing. It looked like a small lion with a tail with spikes on the end. And it was a shadow being, but it was small, and it would run behind doors and run behind the dresser and different stuff like that. It was very strange. That's paranormal. That's strange, but that happened. So that's a paranormal thing that happened when I was young, and I didn't know what it was. I mean, I was only like 11.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So that's weird.
That was weird.
Yeah, a lot of weird things going on.
Have you two had paranormal activity?
The only one I had was, two, actually. The one when we were in Nevada, when we were at the conference for...
yeah, that's the big one.
Stardust one.
Okay.
Yeah, that one. We were there for...
That's Star Wars USA.
We saw Clifford Stone, which...
Sergeant Clifford Stone.
Yeah.
He's a sweetheart.
Cool.
He
He was a
sweetheart.
sweetheart.
Yeah. But he... get off track here.
You saw him. You saw.
Yeah, we had an incident in there when we went out for Skywatch, and before that, I was driving on my way to work. Probably, I'm gonna say it was about, was it 2017, 2018, something like that.
I don't remember.
I saw it early in the morning, about 6:30, and a white ball of light was tracking me, and it was literally about 300 yards above the tree line, just pacing me the whole way. I was like, I took my phone off, and I was so mad. I lost it because it was a motion picture too, because I couldn't get to the thing that I'm driving.
I saw that. That was really weird.
And it was just a big glowing white ball.
This is
kind
after
of yellowish.
Yeah.
This was after our encounter in Nevada with the contact in the desert.
Right. We had an incident there, but this one was, and I videoed it, and it's like it's obvious it's something following me. You know, when it was going, I was like, wow. The incident in Nevada was we were doing the last minute made me mad because I had a few to drink and I shouldn't have been, but I didn't know we were going out for a Skywatch, and so we go. So we go outside the place, and they had, was it 3 cars, Jeannie?
Oh, there was like 10 people there. So I don't know how many cars.
No, I mean,
5 cars.
Yeah, right.
5 cars maybe.
Supposedly their drive out to about 30, 45 minutes out in the desert where it was really cold out there. And there was this guy standing there. I was looking for a car. We got to find a car again. I kept turning around. There was this guy. He's really skinny and tall, and all black, and wearing black glasses like we were being watched or something, you know, like kind of like a Men in Black type guy. And I was like, I turned around and he was gone. You know, I was like, whatever, that was weird. So we got in the car, we went out there for the meditation thing, for the thing out there in the circle, whatever.
So with Sixto Paz-Wells.
Yeah, so you know who that is?
No, I'm actually not aware of him.
Sixto Paz-Wells, he's a contactee in Mexico, Peru.
Okay.
Peru, Mexico. He's a contactee. He's been contactee since he was a teenager.
Yeah,
Really?
contacts the Apunians.
Okay.
No, that's Ricardo Gonzalez.
Ricardo Gonzalez,
you're thinking
that's
of. This is somebody else. He's been contacting since he was younger, and he's a self-made contactee. He's done it on his own.
Right. The other one they contacted him, the other
in
guy
Mexico.
said,
Yeah.
Yeah, I get those two confused all the time.
So he had a translator with us when we went.
Right.
Okay, wow.
So we were there, and I guess I laid down or something because I was getting really out of it, and I was trying to sober up a little bit.
Yeah.
And Jeannie hits me on the shoulder, and she goes, "Hey, wait, it's over. Come on, let's go." And it was like I was kind of disorientated, and we went back to the car. Well, let's back up for that. When we got out of the cars, when we got there.
So what is this? You guys go and you
It's
form
like a circle, yeah.
out in the middle of the desert somewhere?
Right.
Right, in Laughlin, Nevada.
Well, okay.
But before we got to that, we got out of the car, and the guy, I turned around and noticed all the cars, this guy just standing back watching, not really being involved in the group, that same guy. And then I go, "Look, Gene, look." I look, she looked, He wasn't there anymore. He was gone. It was like, that's weird. I didn't even see him get in any car with anybody or anything. So as we're laying down, I get up. She said, it's time to go. We got back in the car. And, you know, meditation's usually a half hour, maybe an hour, something like that.
Yeah.
And Jeannie goes, or the people in the front seats go, oh, no, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it wasn't. It was like 1:30.
1:30, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because it was from like 9:30 we got there, and it was like 9:30 when we got there. And then when we left, he said, it's 1:30 a.m. And we went,
there's no way.
Over 3 hours of missing time. What happened? You know, that was really weird. It was like 1:30. Yeah.
We were in the circle. A fleet of craft came over.
Oh, wow.
And after that, they have it all in video. I got pictures of a guy has a stand with all these different cameras on it of pictures they took and everything. It's amazing because it was like, because Jeannie goes, look, my friends are here. It was funny. And when I got in the car.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that. That was strange.
Well,
and I felt very elated and happy, just full of happiness and just love and everything. And my friends are here. And I closed my eyes. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
And I woke up. I opened my eyes. Everybody was leaving. And I'm going, what's going on here? Hey, Sean, let's go. Let's get in the car. It's freezing out here. It's like 45 degrees.
And then when I was in the car,
it was weird.
I kind of passed out and woke up. For some reason, I don't remember. She said, I said it. She says, something happened. Something happened. Something happened to
What
us.
the hell are you drinking?
Apparently it was
well, I wasn't drinking. I wasn't drinking that night.
But I was so mad because I didn't know they were going to do this. You know,
it
from
was
now
really
on, when we
weird.
go to those, yeah. But I mean, he was part of that. You know, I was so.
It was so weird because I was just sitting. I was just sitting there in the group. I was just sitting there in the group, and people were just. Yeah. We were doing the thing. We were doing that.
How big was the group?
10 people about. It wasn't that many people really, because someone told me, she said there was supposed to be 30 people, but only 10 of us made it. So we were chosen, and I'm thinking, chosen?
No, here's what she's talking about. Let me clarify.
No, it happens. I know.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Let me clarify.
Okay.
There was 2 or 3 cars, I think. They got lost, the other ones.
Yeah, the other people got lost.
But we made it. And Jeannie thinks we might have been the ones that they wanted.
Well, that's what the woman said to me.
Yeah,
that we were chosen.
Some of the people were totally. Oh, I think my eyes were just playing tricks on me. It's like,
yeah, people thought
really. There's a whole fleet of them up there.
Yeah, they were flying over, and I remember just. I don't know why.
Imagine
looking up and seeing them flying over.
Imagine seeing 20 stars just moving.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looked like.
Wow.
They were that high.
So he saw something different than I saw. I don't know why.
They looked
but
like
he saw something different than I did.
Stars, but moving.
What year was this?
2017.
17, yeah.
You don't think there could have been like drones flying over?
Oh, no, it was much higher than that. It was much higher than that. It was way over. Like I said, when you look at stars,
why
just
would
come
they be,
back
if they were drones, then what was it then if it was drones?
Drones are.
I don't know. I'm just trying to be that other guy.
I know. That's what people have asked me this.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm wondering if it was drones.
Swamp gas.
If it was the government.
Yeah.
What were they freaking doing with us? They did something to us, and we don't remember it.
Oh.
So that's all I know.
Yeah, they do that.
That's all I know. We don't remember.
They just don't want you to know.
It was over 3 hours.
Yeah, it's like there's no way we were meditating for 3 hours.
But the people, I contacted people that were there with me that are on YouTube and online on Facebook, and they don't remember a thing from that night. But I do.
And I knew something happened after I woke up from my stupor.
Well, did they give you who gave you the drinks? Who gave you the drinks?
Oh, we had it back in the hotel.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they had a cocktail party.
No.
It was a cocktail party because that one guy, what's his name, from Coast to Coast?
Jimmy Church.
No, not Jimmy Church.
Oh, it's
George Norrie?
George Norrie, yes. George Norrie was there.
He's going to be our name.
Thank you. George Norrie was there, and they were having a cocktail party.
Oh, okay.
And he had drank beforehand but came down. But anyway, some people approached me and asked me, do you want to go on the
And that's when I was like,
contact in the desert. Do you want to do this with us?
Yes.
I said, yeah.
I would.
And then he walks up, and I'm like, come on, we're doing this.
We go up to
Whoa,
it was great when we went up to see Clifford. I mean, he's got to be
He was so sweet.
Yeah,
and he would cry and get so emotional.
yeah, because it's true. What he knows, it's all true. He knows that they're people.
Everything that he dealt with.
Right. He told me, he goes, he's an intuitive. You know, he can sense. And he told me, this is kind of, he goes, he looked me dead in the eye and he goes, someone you know is going to die and you're going to be able to see him again. And I always wonder if he meant himself because he was sick. You know, he had Agent Orange. He was in Vietnam and he encountered all the ET stuff over there when he was there. And he, you know, from the Foo Fighters and all that. And his whole story about them, about the craft that was set down right in the middle of the forest, and the Greys came around the corner. I mean, he saw all this. He saw. I mean, he just. Yeah. I mean, it just, and he was part of his official job was a secretary for the Air Force, and but really they pulled him out on special occasions for going to crash retrieval sites, 12 of them. Indian Gap Springs in New Hampshire and Vermont, I think there was one of them. But one he always talks about, I think it's the Indian Gap one or the something Springs one, where he got real emotional because he actually he went up to the craft. He was using a guidance counter because he was a CBC type of stuff. And he went up there and he goes, I need an officer over here. I need an officer now. You don't understand. There's somebody in here. He goes, no.
Yeah, it was dead entities.
There was an ET hanging out.
There was one that was alive though.
Yeah,
that's why he interacted. He was interfacing
he can interface
with
with
one of them,
and that's why he got the job because he could do that. He was intuitive to it, and that the ET. I think didn't he say the ET says there's nothing you can do, just let it go or something.
Something like that. Yeah,
they're a lot more advanced than you know.
And what were they? They were.
I think they were Greys.
Yeah, it looked like a typical Grey.
Yeah,
okay.
typical.
Is that reticuli?
He said there's like 3 or 4 different types of Greys.
Right, you got the
There's
robot
some
kind.
that they're short. The short ones
short
are the
ones
robot.
are the biological robots.
Right,
yes, right, yes.
right. Yeah.
The second ones they have from what I understand, they have a soul that they're intelligent.
Yes.
They're on their own. And then the first ones are the big tall Greys with the big heads. Direct the small ones to do their work for them. Yeah. The cattle mutilations, all this stuff that they're bloodless and, you know, by the way, they're not satanic. That's not what
No.
Don't even bring that up.
Well, yeah, no, they're not. It's ETs can do things, taking tongues out and anuses with no blood, and they just.
I'm wondering what they're doing that for, though. What
are
they using that stuff for? Yeah. I tried to ask different people about that. Like, what are they doing that for? But nobody has an answer. They don't even Linda Moulton Howe.
Yeah, she's great. You need to watch her. She's very.
Yeah, she didn't. She doesn't really know exactly why they're doing it, but she did a lot of research on that.
There's actual video on there showing cows floating up to the in the pasture in Ireland, is it? And they're just, Linda was kind of laughing about it. She's like, "There's my cow. It's going up." And
was she the person that translated that binary code that soldier experienced in the Revolution?
You're talking about Peniston.
Peniston.
Yes,
Sergeant Peniston.
Kind of runs with her.
I think she might have.
I think
she
so.
might have.
I actually have. I pulled it up today, like what the translation was.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, because it was some kind of coordinates, wasn't it?
Coordinates to Belize, Sedona, Giza.
Yeah, I didn't understand that too much. What it was about.
Those are major energy centers.
Okay.
Really?
I've been to Sedona.
Oh, really?
And yeah, if you're sensitive enough, you feel it.
Wow,
interesting.
Really?
Yeah, it's really difficult to describe. Yeah. Huh. I'm sure there's a massive network of crystals and stuff under there.
For sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. Isn't that the power source of a lot of ETs? They use crystals.
They sure. A lot of them do. Yeah. I went to the Airport Mesa vortex, and then at first I was walking the trail, and then I was just, I just kind of collapsed to my knees.
Really?
And
I like to experience that.
And then I was like,
gosh.
Well, that's what they say when you go into the vortex of a crop field. You can feel because. They're perfectly laid down. There's all kinds of messages. It's like they're trying to tell humanity, "Hey, wake up!"
Yeah, and after a minute, I caught my breath and stood up and was like, boink, and just really, really like present and aware and alert. Again, it's difficult to explain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Interesting.
is. Wow.
So when you got started, Arthur right here, you were talking about at the beginning. We'll go back to that. I apologize for went on a tangent, but so you started researching him, and just for the audience, kind of talk like some people that probably don't know much about UFOs, so we kind of have to kind of dumb it down a little bit for some people, like especially like me over here. I don't know much about any of this
If you're
stuff.
starting to research,
Yes.
if you're beginning to do it and you don't know where to start because there's so much information,
Right.
I would go first to the Disclosure Project UFO. It's on
2001.
YouTube. The Disclosure Project UFO Truth.
She's going to pull it up. He'll pull it up.
Okay, I don't know how you do that on here. It's a National Press Club conference.
Stephen Greer.
It's all the
Stephen Greer is a great place to start.
Yeah, it's all the.
Although I don't agree with a lot of some of the stuff he says, but
Sometimes me either, but
yeah, I mean, he thinks every ET is
These
nice.
are all
and
the
they're not.
military people.
I don't believe they are. Like, there's just like people. Some have different agendas. He thinks everyone is nice, and I don't buy into that.
Most are, some aren't.
Yeah, right.
Some are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously, you know,
reptilians and stuff.
They're
reptilians,
just
of
like
course,
us,
yeah.
our society in a way.
Well, that's what Clifford said. He said they have I mean, he tears up when he talks. They have families like us. They do things like we do, maybe a little little differently, but they do stuff like we do, just maybe a little bit differently. You know,
Right. But this is from 2001. This is
there's a host of people in the air traffic controllers, credible people swearing under oath that they will tell the truth that they're brought forth to Congress to testify what they know. And this is hundreds of them on here.
This was 20 years ago. This whole
There's another one in 2004, and then he did if you've ever watched there's another one 2004, but there's also he brought out a movie called Cyrus. Watch that. You watch that.
Yeah.
Dustin, watch that.
Okay.
That right there. But if you're a intellectual person, you're a scientist or something, watch this, because details on these physicists and these air traffic controllers tell you that these objects are going over 6,000 miles an hour to 15,000 miles an hour, stopping and making right-hand turns left. They're intelligently controlled, obviously.
And this was 20 years ago, and there's an article, I guess, that they're going to release. Supposedly, there's video from
That's
the Navy.
That is the what is it? The
Pentagon declassified.
Pentagon declassified. Yeah. See, in the Navy's
there's a whole
doing it too.
60-minute segment that was just released on it.
Exactly. The Navy's heavily involved in all this too. If you go back to when they made the ship invisible, refresh me.
Philadelphia experiment
Is linked to the Navy, and that a lot of stuff came from that. That's how they're involved in working. I don't know if they're working with the Air Force or not, but a lot of that stuff is all true. I mean, it's
when you hear
if you
about
watch Al Bielek and
and
what happened with him and how the people were in few when the boats went,
horrifying stuff.
right when it went invisible, it reappeared in the Philadelphia harbor, I think it was, and the
horrible.
people were all embedded in the because they didn't quite know how to do it yet. They knew how to sort of, but they didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, well, that was allegedly also from reverse technology of down
UFOs.
but
Probably Clifford knew all about that.
Yeah, but they were pretty crude.
That's what they say, because people were halfway in the ship, and there was people screaming.
Yeah,
and,
some of them were in the deck, and then there's some guys were kind of almost frozen in time and just moving very, very slow in their perception of time, so that like for about a week or so they were like rubbing them down to kind of get them back into.
And a lot of them went mental, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was like when they were starting to do it, it's like, ooh, man.
So they've been seeing these things, and so I feel like what's coming out with the last thing just came out, like we were talking about that release or whatever, that video, but it feels like maybe that's hard to cover up, like because everybody has a cell phone now, there's social media. Do you feel like we're kind of getting at the point where technology, where if the stuff does exist, that it's kind of hard for the government to kind of control it?
Well, they're doing a slow release program right now.
They've been very tiptoed kind of slow disclosure, and they started in the late 2000s, really.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds about right. And they have all your movies you're watching. If you watch, according to actually your buddy you were talking about earlier, he said watch the movie which shows all the ETs in the movie.
Oh, I can't remember.
It's a good
that we just
representation
saw.
of like reptilians and stuff.
We saw the one you're talking about.
It's
Gosh, it had the young couple in it.
Yeah, I can't think of it right now. There's so
I
many,
forgot the name of that.
Oh, man.
but it's a good example of what.
That's a really good movie.
Yeah, what the ETs look like. I mean,
Yeah.
you got the Nordics. They start off
That was
easy.
interesting,
They start off
yeah.
with people from India,
The
from
Nordics,
Japan.
Yeah.
And there in comes somebody that looks like a lizard, and then here comes somebody that looks like a
Draconian constellation.
I can't remember the name of the movie. It was really good though. It's like a
How have I not seen this?
it's
You might have. I just can't remember the name of
I can't think
it.
of the name of it. I hate this. There's so many things. I can't remember names. I'm glad you remember names, because then when I can just kind of describe it, you can tell me what it is.
So when you start, you start researching this video here, the Disclosure Project, and then it sounds like you guys have gone to conventions and different things
Yep.
and met with different people. So
Yep.
just talk about that path. So you started here, you start doing your research. What led to the next thing? What did you start learning when you start doing all this research?
Well, I think it just kind of went from when I first started watching the Disclosure Project, and then I started looking up the different people on YouTube that spoke on this. And Clifford Stone was one of them, Sergeant Clifford Stone. He was the big one because his story to me was, wow, that was the big one.
And Charles Hall too.
Yeah,
They seem the
he's
most
not. He's
legit.
not on here though, but there's different. Yeah, different people. Carl Wolf is on here. He's the one that saw the structures on the backside of the moon.
Do you know what would be a good example of showing you what we've learned? Is if you pulled up the short segment of Clifford talking about what he knows and what he really believes. But I don't know if it's in this one or
There's a ton of videos of him though. If you put in Sergeant Clifford Stone, you're going to come up with a lot of different interviews and.
But if you
stuff.
go to his section when he talks, there's a segment of about 3 minutes he talks, and you'll just be like,
oh, maybe with Bob Dean, Sergeant Major Bob Dean.
yeah, Bob Dean is really
Yeah, that's
something.
really good.
What's some of the beliefs that he believes? You just said something about there's stuff on the other side of the moon. You're saying
That's
Yeah.
Carl Wolf.
Carl Wolf said that.
Carl
Okay.
Wolf, he was in the military, and he went to fix something that was in the NSA. He thought it was NASA at the time, but it was the NSA.
And he's a government worker. He's working for the government, right? All these people are
The military.
military. Okay.
So they just I'm guessing they contracted him, and he came in, and he was supposed to fix some kind of imaging or photo imaging.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Machines or something. But he was fixing it, and he says, I can't do this unless you move it out of the room. And they said, okay. Well, they left, and there was a guy in there working with different, I don't know what you call them.
Negatives.
Cells or negatives or whatever they were, cells or something he called them. But the guy was in there, and he said,
By the way,
by the way, this is what we do. Because he goes, I'm just really curious how you do all this, because you're looking at images from the moon, I'm just curious how you do all this process. He goes, oh, but by the way, after he tells them everything,
there's bases on the
there's
back.
bases on the backside of the moon we've discovered.
Looks like
And
satellite
he looks
dishes.
at him like, what? Like, he should not be telling me this.
There's also that legendary photo of just that really tall tower.
Yes.
Yeah.
And roads, it looks like roads leading to.
Almost,
I mean, it's
yeah.
obvious that there was ETs inside the.
Yeah,
Well,
it
'cause it's
kinda
partially
freaked the guy
hollow.
out, yeah.
That's what they.
That's what.
And
Yeah,
the reason why that's
I've heard
true-
about that.
The reason why that's true is when they landed, you could
Made
hear
a
a
ding.
ping. It made a ding.
Pong, yeah.
So obviously it's
Made
man-made.
a ringing sound. Yeah.
But here's the thing: if it's man-made and brought here, all the scientists are wrong about our oceans. If we didn't have our moon, we'd have clashing. No.
Well, they're talking about the moon wobbling right now, and how it may screw
But, I mean,
up,
if it's
screw
not
up
a
some
real
of the
moon,
water and
why would
the
that?
tides and
why
everything.
would that affect our oceans if it's not a real moon?
Similarly, the Mars moon Phobos is
Yeah.
false as well. And
Yep.
I mean, just look
yeah,
at it.
I heard about that too.
There's the giant tower there. Buzz Aldrin was talking about.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
the ESA apparently did sonar scans, and allegedly they said it's like there's like something like a beaches and oceans and structures and vegetation and all kinds of things inside of it. And
there was water on
inside
Mars.
Of Phobos?
That's
inside
absolutely
of Phobos?
There was water
Phobos,
on Mars.
yes.
Yeah, it was like
I hadn't heard that before.
no,
Wow.
I know what he's talking about. Yeah, but there was water on Mars. It was like us at one time. The problem is Mars is in an asteroid belt there.
Yeah.
So it had prone to being, all kinds of things go wrong. So
Allegedly, there were a multitude of factors that happened.
yeah. I hear something about a nuclear war that the ETs were.
Yeah.
I don't know about all that, but it's.
But the scan going back to they saw something on the other side of the moon. I mean, isn't there video of like the Apollo, orbiting the dark side of the moon and
there is, but
video?
they're not showing it.
Oh,
we
yeah.
have
Yeah, they're
pictures.
not letting
only.
us know.
Okay.
We have pictures only, and they gray out stuff so you don't see it all because there's big structures and stuff.
Yeah, because when Carl Wolf saw the structures, he said there was like satellite dish looking things.
Yeah, satellite dish.
Tall towers. He saw all these structures back there.
And this is
they
in the
were
50s
massive.
before we had
he
all
said
that.
they were massive.
Yeah.
And he said, I can't wait to see this on the news in the morning.
Yeah, right. That's not
But
going to happen.
he was wrong, and he thought, well, what happened here, Because he thought it was going to be on the news. He says, I was naive.
Yeah.
But it's on YouTube, his whole, it doesn't last that long. It's only like 5 minutes.
I wish I could find that
Him
Clipper
talking
Stone.
about it.
I'd like to
Okay.
show you that. It's so cool.
It's interesting.
Edgar Mitchell of
work on
Apollo
this.
15 obviously
it's
had a
not
lot to
that
say.
long of him
Yes.
talking.
Oh, we'll pull it up. Just
yeah, it's
keep having your
interesting.
camera. I have to fix this computer. So go ahead.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
They also, on the final Apollo mission, one of the astronauts was a geologist, and I forget his name right now. But I've heard the recording, they say it's like, look over to your right, you'll see some boulders there. And he goes, yep, there sure are a lot of boulders around here. Whoop, wink. And his patch, wanted to design the mission patch. It was just a big Stonehenge thing on the moon. It didn't get approved.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that we have, and this is in public domain, and we have a planet flag now. Now, why do we need a planet flag if they don't believe we're
Oh, I saw, yeah.
Because the
It's like-
Space Force, dude.
Yeah, spaceport.
Yeah, we got Bezos going up there and everybody.
Well, that's a
Yeah.
whole other subject
That's
with
a
the
different
secret
thing, yeah.
space program type thing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
NASA is basically just front for the public. NASA doesn't know. They know. I think some people in NASA know stuff, but for the most part, they don't. They're in the dark to what the CIA, the NSA, and all these people that are doing work with the Navy and the Air Force are actually doing with their craft that are outside the Earth.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, I'm sure they're out there, and I'm sure it's a cloaking thing. That's why we can't see them.
Oh, yeah. And I bet some of those people in NASA, aren't even aware of Dulce, New Mexico. Or
No,
anything
that's
like
a whole that right there. That's living proof. With his name is what's that guy's name? Who was actually in battle with the ETs.
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up. And
They killed him. Bill Schneider.
Oh, Schneider, yeah.
Yeah, Schneider was killed. He had his fingers surged. He was a geogeologist or
Yeah.
something. And they were making underground bases in New Mexico, and they went in. They smelled a god awful smell, and sure enough, large grays and were down there, and they had a big battle. A bunch of Marines died
That's
down there
right,
trying to find. He said one of the ETs did a motion like this. One of the large ones went like this, like that, and it just sent a bolt and seared off cooked his foot down there and seared off he holds his hand up. See this right here? This is not from anything other than from what the ET did. So
Yeah, I've seen him talk about that.
yeah, he was murdered by I'm pretty sure it was either
He was
CIA
totally
or
murdered.
yeah,
And
he
all
was
of these
strangled.
buildings were clustered together.
There were-
centrally.
I was going to show an ad real fast. So let's keep talking. We don't
Well,
wanna
it is
advertise.
actually 23 minutes. I thought it was only a 5
We'll play a little bit of it.
It's
So
really
your-
interesting.
Your guys' beliefs. So do you believe? I personally believe is like the pyramids and everything were made by not human made. They were
Right.
Yeah.
I think they were made by
especially-
us, but I think that they were given technologies to do because nobody can figure out how they got them up there. I think the ETs gave them technology to get it done.
They
quicker.
assisted.
They
I'm certain
assisted,
of that.
yeah. Well, I think they might have done it, but they
those were big, massive.
right.
the
they
one
were-
great pyramid's like on the perfect
yeah.
the parallel, or was it the 23-degree parallel or something? Yeah.
It's an energy source. The pyramids they're everywhere. They're underwater. They're on other planets. You see pyramids. There's a center for energy. It's an energy source in England. They say that's what Stonehenge is too.
Yeah.
It's on a point there.
There's a very powerful ley line that goes through there.
Right,
And,
right.
Also, yeah, I mean, talking about pyramids underwater, I mean, they discovered one area somewhere off the coast of Cuba.
Cuba, yep.
Yeah, and went down there and said lights were still on and everything, and apparently they have removed them. But
Sure, they don't want anybody to see that.
Right.
Because then you're going to get questions.
but the pyramids are still down there.
Yeah, the pyramids still down there. Well, how you can explain that, partner?
Well, I think they can't control the power source if there's some kind of powered by the earth or whatever. Like people find out they can't government can't control the power, and so people could get free power. So I don't know.
It might have been part of Atlantis too. I mean, because Atlantis is a fact. There was an Atlantis.
Oh yeah.
Just because they can't find it doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah.
I think they believe it's up north of where the ice is, but
Right.
the world shifted.
Shifted,
Yeah,
yeah.
it shifted.
There was a polar shift at some point.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't the North Pole. It was at another point. At one point, it wasn't always at the North Pole. It was in another area, which would make sense because then if the Atlantis was down further south, then it would
Yes. There was also Lemuria was another one too. It's
I've heard that one.
It was over on the other side. Apparently.
really?
Yeah. And it wasn't quite Pangea at the time, but I mean, it was kind of,
Are you talking about Lannis?
Lemuria.
Oh, the
Lemuria.
island. The island you're talking
Mu
about.
is another name
Yeah,
for
the
it.
island.
But,
Oh. Okay.
And so your thoughts are, aliens have been here over the history of time, and
Oh yeah.
and
They're here now. They can change appearance and do all kinds of stuff according to contactees that go on board and say they can look one way or look the other way.
And some of them actually do look for the most part like us too.
Yeah,
I mean,
some of them are straight.
like,
the Nordics.
Yeah.
The Nordics, even though they're really tall, a lot of them.
Blonde hair.
Yeah, some of the Pleiadians are
Right.
pretty similar to us. So some of them have ears that are slightly lower or down. than
Yeah,
ours.
yeah, I heard that too. Billy Meyer, he's a complete contactee. Then you got who's the guy who was taken who was a heavy smoker, and they took all the
I don't remember. I remember you researched and found out about that guy. I
he
don't
hated
remember
him
that
because
guy.
they forced him to learn stuff, and
They cleared his lungs. You said.
yeah, they took
Yeah.
molecule by molecule. He was a smoker. Molecule by molecule, they took out every bit of tar in this thing, put it in a box, and when he was done completing the stuff they wanted him to learn and everything, because they were abducting him weekly, he said, "Here's a gift for you. Do what you want with it." He opened it up and it smelled like the worst corpse. Yeah, it was horrible. He says, "That's your tar from your habit. We took it out cell by cell. You don't never smoke again."
he said he was abducted.
Yeah, he was abducted, and I think he was young too, wasn't he? I believe.
I don't remember.
well,
It was
I can't
something
remember
you
this
looked
guy's
up.
name.
Yeah.
Can't remember, but that, and then another really distinguished one I think of is Linda Porter. She was from. You ever heard of her?
Maybe.
She's either in Argentina or Brazil, but she was abducted by the mantis beings, which look like praying mantis.
See, I've been wanting to learn more about them.
Well, then you need to listen to Simon Parks.
Okay.
In England, he's actually, according to him, his real mother was a mantis being, and he's an actual public figure. He was a mayor in England, and they still reelected him after he came public with it and everything. But Linda Porter was abducted by them, and they took her into a chamber and showed her what they were doing, and they showed a man laying on a slab who was about ready to die. He was from Indiana, I believe, and this is going to be hard to believe, but they had another version of him. He was here. He had another version of him over here. They cloned over here, about 30 years younger. He was about 35, and he's 60 there or something like that, 65. And he says he has to stay in that body for us to complete he can't die. He has to stay in that body in order to finish our experiment they're doing. So the moment the guy died, they said a purple haze came up out of him. Or no, the tube that was above him had a purple haze in it. His soul went up through it, and they watched it. She watched it happen, go up through there, and this into the other one. And I believe the guy went like that, and all of a sudden he was alive over there and dead here.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, so they're playing God, but the late Linda said she got the feeling that they didn't like doing it, but they had to do it in order to figure out something. But the fact that they knew how to manipulate the soul and is just mind blowing. I mean, I say that's only something God does. It's you die and you go to if you're a Christian, you go straight to hell.
So you believe, or your research, that there's 3 different types of like UFOs, or you said tall ones with the ears, and there's smaller ones, and then
you mean the ETs?
ETs, yes.
Oh, there's what did Charles?
Well, Charles Sergeant Clifford Stone said there was 57.
Like 57
different types.
Yeah, he said there was
Maine.
They knew of in the 60s.
But that was
in the 60s, yeah.
A long time ago.
There's more than that.
Could be a lot
Do you
more
feel like
now.
that's why the government's doing this vaccine and trying to track everyone with their phone?
The whole thing.
Trying to find these guys?
I think the vaccine's a complete BS thing. I mean, my mother's sick with it, and it didn't.
And she had both the shots.
And it did nothing.
And she got another version of coronavirus.
Well, they were wanting
She's sick right now.
Oh my!
See, you don't take something that's only been done 6 months when they had the other things that took 30 years to make effective. So you don't take something that's I don't buy it. I don't.
Well, but the RFID chip thing, it's like I know they were pushing that for a long time, and that was true at one point, but now no need.
You got your phone,
Right.
yeah.
You have your phone, exactly. Yeah.
But these aliens among us, they might not have a cell phone. They might have something else, right?
They use thought transfer.
Oh yeah.
They bypass your pineal gland and they talk to you directly.
Oh, telepathy. Yeah.
And what they do is they use your voice. So it's not you talking, because when you think, you're hearing your own voice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, they use your voice and talk to them. It's not you talking. That's how Clifford described it, which is a great analogy of what it's probably like. And when he would talk to that ET that was captured in Fort Benworth, I think it was, the ET said, "I'm scared."
Yeah.
And he says, "Don't worry, we're going to get
they
shot
captured him and they were holding him hostage."
Right. He says, but the ET told him, he says, if they come and get me, they'll destroy this building and everything in it. And they don't, because of the kind of what they're going to use.
So help me get out of here.
Help me get out of here, 'cause we do not want to hurt anybody, is what he's saying. So they went and got some bolt cutters. And I guess his sergeant, or the person he called the general or whatever, he called him a certain title. Our guy got him. They got him out, and the guy broke the thing and kicked it out, and up he went. The beam of light to the...
Yeah, he cut him out of the fence there, and he was able to crawl through and get out.
Yeah, he was out there.
Yeah, he got him out of there.
His sergeant came up to him and smacked the cigar out of his mouth. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "These people these are not guests. You're calling them guests. You're holding them hostage here." He says, "Well, tell me next time we're going to do something. Don't just do it." It's like, so he wasn't in trouble, but he was mad that it happened. It's like
he thought he was going to get shot.
Right.
He thought they were going to kill him.
He said, "We could have shot you dead, but I'm the only one here. Just don't do it again." So aggravating. They're treated worse than animals, and they're by far.
They don't think they have rights.
No, they don't have rights. They flat out, the military told
worse than
they have absolutely no rights. Our animals have more rights than the ETs. Now, does that make any sense? No, it's because they're so worried about it, upsetting the status quo, and it's like, this is 2021. Sure, you're going to have people like that, but majority of the population isn't going to freak out. They're going to yep, I knew that. A lot of them are going to go, yep, I knew that. What's the big secret? Okay, what now? But the real issue is they don't want the free energy out. That's going to destroy the the oil company, which controls everything, and it's going to mess with our dollar.
You're beating me to it.
Yeah, that's what we're going to say.
Yeah.
It's going to mess up our dollar. It's going to destroy our economy. No, it's not. There'll be things to replace all that. Just because you and your hungry money, oil rigs think you control mass of the power. I mean, we will have according to them, a little bitty box like this can run your house forever off a crystal. You don't need the electric company. Use electromagnetic. We have cars that fly, all electromagnetic. We don't need gasoline. We don't need electric cars. We don't need any of that. It reverses the what is it? What do you call it, Jeannie? I'm lost for words here. It's anti-gravity. That's what it is. It reverses it so you can. They know how to manipulate gravity, so they can. You don't need.
It has to be your phone, or
it's your medicine time.
There's demons coming into the house here. I want
I totally forgot to pick it up too. Oh, great! That means
the Borg.
Yeah, that's the Borg, by the way.
Nice. Who was
He's reminding me to take my medicine.
the guy that kind of like was somewhat groundbreaking, allegedly, into anti-gravity? Who
Lazar.
Was it? Lazar? Or was it Townsend Brown?
I don't
that guy's really old. It might be. Yeah,
I thought it was Bob Lazar.
Yeah, I don't even know. I've heard of him. I don't know.
With that new element, that one element.
Oh yeah,
element 19 or 119.
119.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't. I mean, what's funny is everybody thinks everything's at Area 51. There's nothing in Area 51. There's nothing. They may have some stuff underground where they keep
There's some stuff apparently.
Yeah, where it is all in S4, which is actually Indian Gap Springs. I had it confused.
Where's it at?
Yeah, it's north of Nevada, of Las Vegas.
They moved everything.
Right, still north of it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's 9 levels, and there's the first level. It's literally impossible to get into. I mean, you have to walk a line to get into. The guards there, you get off the line, they'll shoot you dead. That's restricted because ETs are on the 3rd level. They have all the Roswell crashed ones. They have other ETs on the 2nd level, 3rd levels ETs, 4th level, some other stuff. And then it just goes on and on. And it's like, I just laugh when I see these people about Area 51.
Is that where the Majestic 12 is? Isn't that part of it? I'm thinking of something else.
No, the Majestic 12 is, who is it?
I thought they were involved with.
Who's the scientist that they talked to that, for J-Rod.
Yeah.
J-Rod
was that guy's name?
What?
Darren something, is it? I'm thinking maybe it's not Darren.
I can't think of a B. Give me this with a B.
Yeah.
Birch. But he was part of Majestic 12, which had Eisenhower in it.
Has nothing to do with that though. What you were talking about? S4?
He was involved in that, but he was.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Well, explain
that's what I was thinking.
J-Rod is an ET from. He's from 100 light years away, and he had he had a degenerate problem, something wrong. He came back to us to figure out what was wrong, how to fix it, and the scientists were giving him injections to try to fix what was wrong with him to get back to his family. And this scientist. Birch.
Birch. Dan Birch.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Okay.
He conversed with him, got friends with him, and they used to talk to a lot of people. He'd show him, hey, I used to go to Colorado on vacation, and he would show him his thing through.
And what type of entity was J-Rod again?
They said he looked like a gray.
Yeah.
But he was in the gray. He was like, he was extremely intelligent. But whenever he'd ask questions, was he the one that said, he wouldn't tell him how you do it. He'd give him homework to do. Go figure it out and then come back to me. He would never give you the answer. He'd say, go do this.
I know Clifford Stone said that Corona would do that with him.
Now, Corona is...
Yeah, I know. He said he would give him homework because he would ask a question and Corona would say... We have a picture of him. Here, do this research and find out. Corona wouldn't tell him straight off.
Corona was with Clifford his whole life. When he was 5 years old, he met him.
Yeah.
And the little boy said, don't tell people you know me because they're not going to believe you.
Right.
And then one day he revealed himself to him when he was like 8 or something.
Yeah, when he was like 8 years old, yeah.
He was typical alien green. And I got a picture. Somebody drew a picture. He had him draw a picture.
He did a digital
he was the one that said do the research. Right. He's 100 light years away. and his job was to sign to a human being to see what human emotions were alike and stuff like that.
Right.
Well, the military knew that he was in contact with these entities, and when he was old enough, this guy in the Army came to him. He saw him in the store. They were tracking him. He saw him in the store buying a UFO magazine. He goes, "Oh, you like that? Here, you want me to get it for you?" He says, "Sure, sir." He's like, and so he ended up talking to him. He went and talked to his parents about it because he knew he was intuitive and he had this connection with this ET. He couldn't get in the military because he has flat feet. Well, the sergeant or something, he had some kind of condition. It was something, yeah. Sergeant says, "We'll get him. We'll get you in. Don't worry. We'll get you in."
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was swatting a gnat.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I got
thought you were gonna ask me.
There's a gnat flying around.
No, Sean, I've had enough of you.
I am talking too much. Go ahead.
No, not at all.
So we got him in, and something happened where he got in trouble, so they had to switch him to the Army. That's how he got in the Army, but they changed his title to he was a CBC, he was a secretary originally.
Yeah.
But then they classified him as for radioactive stuff.
Oh, yeah.
A CBC, they call it, or something.
Yeah, I forget what it stands for.
But that's what his title was. But his real title was Interfacer with ETs or crash sites. That's what his job was. But of course, nobody knew that.
And they didn't tell him right on his first excursion. they were trying to say.
That's why he was upset when he went in there. He didn't know.
Yeah, they were trying to tell him, "Oh, this is just." They were telling him it was something else, that it wasn't
Monkeys
extraterrestrials or monkeys or something else like that.
This is no monkey. I need an officer.
Or the Russians. I think they told him it was the Russians.
Right.
And when he saw it, he started getting really upset. He goes, "This is not what you're saying. Get me an officer down here right now." And he was really upset. I remember him talking about that. Yeah. He was so upset. But can we get to the video?
Yeah, I can play.
Yeah, this guy here, he's been talking. I don't know who this is.
He's the mortician that did the Roswell bodies.
Okay.
Wait, this is somebody else. This is not the video we first saw. I don't know.
Yeah,
who
it went
this
to something else, man.
This is somebody else.
Oh.
If you hand me over that, I can find it. I'm pretty good at finding stuff. Go back to the 2001 disclosure, and I can show you.
Yeah, the guy with the stuff on the back of the.
Yeah, he was a mortician who took the kid-like bodies.
Oh, here he is. Here's Carl Wolf. Let me get to the part where.
They were only about 4 feet tall, right?
Let me see.
Yeah. He said they needed kids'
Maybe
coffins.
he's talking about the part where.
3 to 4, yeah.
Terrain map, and you flew a camera over that and did a recording
this
of
is
the
where it
terrain, and then
gets
they
to the
installed
part.
that film in a plane, and the plane could then fly in under radar.
So he was in the
It was
military.
called ATRAN, and no one knew we had that capability at the time as well. So we were installing all of that equipment. At any rate, I was in a color lab one day when my boss, Staff Sergeant Taylor, came over to me and said that they were having a problem with some equipment on the base, and it was the first lunar orbiter program, where they had a mission to pretty much locate the first landing sites for the 1969 lunar mission for the astronauts. So at any rate, he said they were having some problem with equipment over there. It was a similar equipment that we had. It was computerized contact printing equipment. And he wanted to know if I would go over and take a look at it. And he said to me, it's an NSA facility. And at the time, I didn't know what NSA was. I was pretty naive, and I thought he said NASA. So in my mind, for a long time, I thought it was a NASA facility that I'd gone to. But I remembered him saying NSA and converting it in my own mind to NASA.
And for viewers, the NSA is?
It's the National Security Agency. And I didn't know much about the National Security Agency until probably 10 or 15 years ago. Now the interesting thing, when my boss came to me, at that point in time, I only had a top secret security clearance. I didn't get my crypto security clearance for a few more weeks. It takes years to get a high-level security clearance like that, and they start that when you're in school. And only the honor graduates from these schools are the people who get the high-level security clearances. They also get to choose their duty assignment, which is really quite nice. it just was a fluke. I just happened to be well prepared for what I was doing when I went to school.
And how did you get to be in a position where you actually were to deal with the material we are about to discuss?
I was asked to go over to this facility on Langley Air Force Base where the NSA was bringing in the information from the lunar orbiter. And so I packed up some tools. I went over. I went into the facility. As I approached the facility, it was very lightly guarded. I mean, the base was under high security at any rate. I was surprised that there wasn't a higher level of security outside of the facility as I look back on it later. I went into the facility. I gave them my low-level security badge. They gave me a higher-level security badge. A couple of officers took me into this hangar. It was a very large hangar. As I walked in, there were people from other countries, a lot of foreign people from other countries in civilian clothes, with interpreters with them, with security badges hanging around their neck. And the first thing I thought to myself, if this is NASA, what are all these foreigners doing here? What are all these people from other countries speaking other language? Didn't make any sense to me. And I was really quite impressed with that. It just didn't grok. I was, what are all of these people doing here? And they were very quiet, very reserved, and there was a very peculiar pall hanging over them. They had a very concerned demeanor. Okay, so they took me into this laboratory. I took a look at the equipment. There was an airman second class in there. I was an airman second class as well. He turned the equipment on and put it through its paces. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. I saw what was going on with it. I said, I need to do some troubleshooting on it. It had little printed circuit boards in it with discrete components at that time. It was before we had integrated circuits. And I said to him, we'll have to take this thing out of the lab if we're going to work on it. We can't work on it in here in the darkroom environment. So he called someone to get some people to come in and move it. It was about the size of a small apartment refrigerator. It wasn't something you could easily move. So everyone left the facility, left the darkroom, except this airman second class and myself. And we're in waiting for someone to come to remove this piece of equipment. So while I'm in there, I said to him, I'm really fascinated with this process. How did they get the images from the lunar orbiter to the laboratory here? And he went through the whole process describing how the various radio telescopes around the world were linked and they telemetered the data into Langley Field. And at the time, I didn't know what the real purpose of this darkroom and this operation and this facility was. I thought this was where they were bringing the data in and then releasing the images to the public. I had no idea that there were other issues involved in this facility. So he starts telling me all of this information, and I knew that what we were doing was classified anyway, and that he could only share a certain level of what he was doing with me because of the compartmentalized nature of our jobs. At any rate, he told me how everything worked. He showed me the equipment where the digital information came in, where it was converted to photographic images. They were doing 35 millimeter strips of film at that time, which were then assembled into 18.5 by 11 inch mosaics, they were called. There was a digital signature and a grayscale on every 35 millimeter strip. And those strips were from successive passes around the moon, and they would take and build up a photograph. They would scan one section of the moon, then another and another, and then they would get a larger image. So this mosaic then would be put in that contact printer, and that was then a print that was issued to whomever, the press, the scientist, whatever, wherever that was intended to go. So he was showing me how all this worked, and we walked over to one side of the lab, and he said, by the way, we've discovered a base on the back side of the moon. And I said, whose? What do you mean, whose? He said, yes, we've discovered a base on the backside of the moon. And at that point, I became frightened, and I was a little terrified, thinking to myself that if anybody walks in the room now, I know we're in jeopardy, we're in trouble, because he shouldn't be giving me this information. I was fascinated by it, but I also knew that he was overstepping a boundary that he shouldn't be stepping over. And then he pulled out one of these mosaics and showed this base which had geometric shapes. There were towers, there were spherical buildings. There were very tall towers and things that looked somewhat like radar dishes, but they were large structures. So I didn't say any more to him because I was concerned again that somebody was going to come in at any moment, would catch us having this conversation, and we would be in real trouble. I realized that he was telling me this information because he didn't have anybody else to talk to. Now, probably in that laboratory, he was probably one of the few enlisted people, and he was a worker bee. And he had a high-level security clearance, obviously, but he couldn't share that information with anybody else. And in those days, we didn't. When you had your security clearance, you took it seriously. It isn't like today where people don't take these things seriously. We had a different set of morals and ethics and values. That's the way we were raised, and we stayed bound by those agreements.
So,
yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess my question is, why do you think the government doesn't want people to know about
I don't think
this?
The government knows about this at all. I think it's hidden. It's black projects that the NSA
Right.
and the military are hiding. There's only 4 or 5 presidents that even know about ETs and stuff. Reagan, Eisenhower. It got out of control with Eisenhower and got lost from him. He knew. That's why he said in his
Beware the military-industrial complex.
Right.
He says
Yeah.
they're taking it over, and we're not going to get this out because of it.
He allegedly
Bush knew
met
about it.
some ETs too.
Yes, exactly. Well, yeah. he-
Allegedly.
One other clip I like to show you. It's not long at all.
Sure.
If you go back to the Disclosure Project 2001 and go to 1 hour and 11 minutes, it's Clifford's thing. You got to see this.
Oh yeah.
It's
I
1 hour
gotta
and 11
see
minutes.
that.
I found it.
It's been a
Yeah.
long time since I've seen this.
Yeah, this is. He's only talks
hold
for about.
on.
Yeah,
So this base on the moon, is it still operational? There's still, or is it?
there's
is it-
ETs within the moon. No, it's.
I
that
think
was-
it's a reptilian, actually.
Yeah, reptilian and grays are up there, just spying on us, basically. I think
Pretty much.
they're watching us. Yeah, that's what.
I saw David Ike speak in Arizona.
Yeah.
And he,
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did you?
In 2009, and that's actually how I got through Sedona.
Because he's an authoritarian on reptilians. And
Yeah, it's like, well, David, I don't think all of them are reptilians. You know, they're not
well, no,
all
there's
possessed.
different versions of. There it is, right there.
You're talking about the
Yeah, 2001.
2001.
Yeah, do that
okay.
one.
Were you talking about the 57?
Well, just go to 1 hour and 11 minutes.
Well, I think it's only a clip of the
Oh, it's
part
not
where
the
he
whole
talks
thing.
about
No, if you
it.
go to the hour
I
and a half,
don't know where that is.
you
so
had it
it's-
up just earlier. Just look in the history.
Okay.
I wish I could send it over my phone because that's a Chromebook, so I can't
It's
do
the
it.
same thing, though. It's just
No.
him talking. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but it's very important what he says. It's. I wish I could pull it
Pull
up.
up on your phone and we can
Yeah,
I can look
'cause
it
I
up
don't-
on
Can you
here.
do it?
I can find it. So, but the
This is. That's where it is.
oh, you have a okay. I'll find it. So just keep keep talking about
Yeah,
the moon.
Oh, there it is. Oh, is that? Did you pull it up?
That's just him talking.
No, that's
on
that's not the clip I have.
the
Look-
2001 one.
I'll get it.
No, is that 2001? Because it's
That might be a different year.
yeah. This is it's 2001. I thought.
Well, that was the big one with
Okay,
Greer.
well.
was-
Right,
was
the hour and a
2001.
half one
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they talk, where he talks about the. You'll see it's. Oh yeah, you have to put Stephen Greer in front of it.
And then you said you mentioned Reagan. Reagan actually saw quite a bit of footage of
Yeah,
UFOs,
well,
didn't
his
he?
speech to the United Nations where he said how we would. It's amazing how we come together if we knew we had an alien threat coming towards us. Have you seen that clip? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, people might just took that as a great assault and says, "Oh, he's just talking in general."
Kind of the
No.
main motivator for Star Wars,
Right. I mean, yeah.
Star Wars program.
Well, that's the Heineken talked about. There's 3
Maybe
things
put
that are going to keep
alien
war
secret
going.
technology after it.
World War One, we got the Germans, the Nazis. World War Two, it's going to be the the terrorists, and the third and final card for war is going to be the ETs. So there's this big false flag out there saying that
They've been wanting to do that for a long time.
that's why they want a Space Force out there. There's no freaking way we need that.
Project Blue Book, isn't that what it's called?
No, it's there's a different name. Starlight, I think is what it's called.
Starlight.
Project Starlight, yeah. Of course, you use that name. Oh, we changed the name now. So, but it's.
Do you think that was part of the motivation of like that giant holographic pyramid that was hovering above the Kremlin?
Yeah, I know. I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right over Israel, the Dome of the Rock. You talking about? Yeah, right over. It's like what's going on there? You know, it's like because they can do holographs that look real. So the whole 9/11 thing may have been because it's. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think
11,
they use
1 hour,
explosives.
11 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, we're gonna pull
I
it
think.
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half. It's the
But where do we have to go?
1:11. Go to like an hour and 11 minutes. Pull it in.
I think I saw you talking about Reagan was slipping during his like second term, and then he slipped up and
There
said
is.
a couple things that kind of people.
Okay, here it is.
Okay, watch this.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My
That
name's
is
Clifford
perfectly
Stone. I'm
appropriate
a
for
Sergeant
this.
First Class, United States Army. I had a secret clearance with nuclear assurity. I could get the clearance that I needed to do whatever it was that was necessary for me to do at the time on special operations when I was called in on those. What I'm referring to here is that I was involved in situations where we actually did recoveries of crashed saucers, for lack of a better term, debris thereof. There were bodies that were involved with some of these crashes, also some were alive. While we were doing all this, we were telling the American public there was nothing to it. We were telling the world there was nothing to it. I'd like to go into detail on some of the cases about the nuts and bolts cases right here, but I will be available if you have any questions concerning my involvement in this. You can talk to Dr. Greer to arrange for me to get to talk to you. But the whole situation is, we've set back, we've told the American people that there's no such thing as UFOs. I've been involved where we have recovered these objects. We know them to be of extraterrestrials. In 1969, I had an event that happened to me while I was stationed at Fort Lee, Virginia. We went to Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania. That would be my first exposure to any time that we would be recovering an unidentified flying object. When we went there, we already had people that was already in the facility. We were a backup team, which was supposed to be NBC because there was supposed to be some nuclear materials that was on board this craft. Later on, most people involved would have been were to be told that there was nothing on board it. It was nothing more than just a crash of one of our aircraft. I know better because I was one of the people that approached it with a Geiger counter to get surface readings. I was the first person to go ahead and see that there were bodies on it. That would be the first of approximately 12 events. UFO crashes are not events that take place every day. They're rare. I know we're not alone in the universe. I know that the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. It's evidence that has been denied to the American people. I stand before you today in my almighty God, and I tell you this. If Congress calls me in and says, will you testify in detail what you know, I stand here today prepared and ready to do just that. Governments must never lie to the people for no reason. Thank you.
I have to clap on that.
So when was it? He did this in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a shame he was never able to go towards Congress and do this. He passed away before. Same thing with Bob Dean. Bob Dean had the highest clearance you can have, security clearance. It was called a cosmic top security clearance.
Right.
That's where you are directly involved with ET stuff. He worked in the
war room.
The war room called SAP in Europe. Is it called SAP?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's called SAP.
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, and he was able to see these documents. They told him, hey, go down and have a look at them. And it was the Army? Yeah, the Army's assessment in 2 years the Foo Fighters are here of what these craft were, and that they were ETs, and that there was 3 groups competing. One, what was it? Oh gosh, I can't remember. I'm trying to pull it from thought. One that looked like us. One was the Greys, and I can't remember the other one. But that they were they weren't attacking us. They weren't doing what the people say they were doing. And what was the other? I can't remember. I'm losing my track of thought. I can't remember. But that it was real. That they were tracking them, and they were involved in World War II. And they were there watching what we were doing, because they didn't want us to fight, obviously, and all the nuclear weapons and all that stuff, with them hovering over the silos and then shutting them off. They did it in Canada and Russia, and they did it here.
Shut them off?
They would hover over them.
Oh, yeah.
They would hover over them and shut them down. And the people that run the button, to push the button, said those machines were working perfectly. He said they had their supervisors run out. Look, they're right there, right there. I said, I know. They shut everything down. Shut them.
That's happened all over the world.
Yeah,
actually,
it's happened in Russia. It's happened here.
It's a big hobby of theirs.
Yeah, they don't like that stuff.
The humans are playing with matches again. We need to stop them.
Right.
Because see, when you set off a nuclear bomb, according to them, it disrupts the space that other people are in. It screws stuff, according to them.
It has something to do with the vibrations.
It tears into space-time or something.
They know.
They don't want it.
Happens.
It hurts. Yeah.
They know when the vibrations have changed on our Earth, it's affecting them out there. Mm-hmm. That's why they're so interested, I think, is because they see the vibrations are not where they need to be down here.
Right. We don't need to be playing with that stuff. It's not something to play with. And this whole thing with CERN, trying to make a black hole, that's really scary.
Yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't be doing any of that stuff. We don't know. We're stupid. We're not as smart as you think we are. I mean, these people know that. These ETs know that. You shouldn't be messing with that.
Yeah. I dreaded the day that they switched it on.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
We were just watching something on that channel. We've been watching.
Samsung TV has this great channel called. There's so many channels on. By the way, I'm not pushing Samsung TV, but they're great. They're free stuff. They're free stuff.
We don't even need cable because we got it now.
But they have a channel called Unverified.
Unidentified.
Yeah, unidentified. Yeah. But they have a lot of good stuff on there.
And they were talking about the atomic bomb that they exploded out there in was it Nevada? Mm-hmm. And they had like a pillar there.
Well,
and
yeah,
they were looking at it, and it was a big
hole. You hear about the
hole.
Missile that shot up? They were going to blow something up in space, and a ET craft flew in, shot a laser this way, came up here, shot a laser this way, and then this way, and then flew off, and the thing just blew up. Just blew up, didn't blow off the bomb, just blew up the ship so it wouldn't blow.
They intervened.
And the guy down in control center goes, "What are you guys doing up there? Are you screwing around?" No, it looks to me like we got a UFO. It's like, no, they're telling you, quit playing with matches again. Stop doing stuff in space. There's other people out here.
Right.
It's getting ridiculous. It really is. They really just need to disclose all this stuff. It's so stupid.
I have a couple of times been watching the feed of the live feed of the ISS.
Yeah, I like watching that too.
Oh yeah,
you see all those
one of my personal favorites was maybe from about 2-3 years ago, maybe it was a little longer ago than that. But they're going to nighttime side, they're going to the dark side, and then sure enough, like
you saw something
you start to see this little kind of like riveted triangle point, and just kind of like coming in and then cut the feed.
See, that happened to me one time. Well, I'm not going to get into it. That's another show.
We got to watch the triangles.
It's another show, but there was something that went across the screen, and it was just a solid orb.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And it was going across like that, and and there was clouds behind it. It was above the clouds, and they cut it.
Yeah.
I'm like...
It should be noted that not all of the ships are metallic.
No.
You got to
watch
ships of light.
You got to watch the triangles because we have triangles.
I know. Yeah, some of those are ours.
We have. You can't even tell anymore what's ET and what's ours. Well, now.
The half organic, half
the crafts are alive, and that's how that
they're connected to the craft. Yeah,
the ETs put their hands in it. That's that picture we have of the looks like silver or something. They put their hands in there and it interfaces with the mind because they're telepathic, and that's how they can just go bing like that, and bing this way, bing that way, and bing, and just pop in and out. They just use their mind to control. There's no control mechanisms. And
some of them use wormholes too. Like they've seen you probably have seen like what happened over China. Years ago. I'm sure you've seen that.
Well, the one craft that went down in Nevada, I think they said they couldn't figure out why it was orange. They were glowing orange.
Yeah.
Well, they got in there, and this was in the 50s. It was caked. I mean, like cables like that, full of fiber optics. Well, we didn't have fiber optics there. Guess where
That's
we got it from?
we got it from.
We got it from them, yeah.
We got Teflon from them too, apparently.
Yeah, and the chip. We're not that smart, people. We're not that smart. We got the computer chip from them.
Fast. I mean, we went from carriages to
yeah. How do we do that so fast?
Yeah.
They took the chip. They gave it to 2 or 3 companies. If you do your research, 2 or 3 industrial countries, and brought it out, and they said, "This is what we created." Liars! You got that from ETs. You got it from inside the ships. I mean,
the Vril Society.
Yeah, exactly.
For those who don't know, the Vril Society was actually out of the Nazis. So yeah,
the Nordics were working with them, but they cut it off because they're Nazis. They're terrible. Yeah. And that's where connection with with Antarctica.
Yeah, there's a big hole there that they just go in and out.
All swastikas down there. Yeah. Hitler had it all. The whole bell thing with the.
Oh yeah.
The bell is that's where Hitler took all his. I mean, he went to. Hitler never died, from what I understand. He went to Argentina, and they got.
Apparently, the OSS took him on a submarine to South America. Allegedly.
But all his technology he has is into the ice down in Argentina because there's swastikas everywhere. It's all. I wouldn't surprise me if there was on other planets or something.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of
that's pretty scary. Yeah,
spooky anomalies in Antarctica, not UFO related, but organism 46B, for example. Yeah, that's if I won't go into all that, but I mean, look that up if you're organism 46B.
Well, I just heard of it. I don't know what it is.
I'll tell you about it.
There's a lake underneath like all that ice that there's probably.
It's more than that. When the scientists went in, it was weird. There was all these lights that came on, but they couldn't see where the light source was coming from.
Yeah,
and it went from like 20 below up to 60 degrees as they were walking. It was miles and miles of thick ice, and the temperature changes. Like no wonder they're down there doing their little experiments or whatever. It's like what a perfect place to hide underwater UAPs and in the Antarctica. Nobody can see us down there. They see UFOs coming out of the water all the time.
Oh yeah,
shoot up.
Yeah, USOs.
USOs. Yeah, that's what they call them.
Didn't they do like an autopsy of one? And it's like it was so perfectly the cells that they almost feel like it was 3D printed of like cell. Like some of these aliens could be like almost like.
That's the Greys. When they did the Greys.
Yeah.
Well, the Greys, from what I understand, they're not the robot ones, but the ones that are biological entities.
Right. Yeah.
That they call them biological entities. The EBINs. Extraterrestrial biological entities is what they coined the term, the military did. But they don't eat. They don't use their mouth. They use everything telepathy. They have ears, they don't use them. They do everything through sense. And when they feed themselves, they put some kind of cream on. That's how they feed. And they don't go pee or poop. They just excrete it through their skin. They have to use it like the EBIN from
you're talking about the Dan Birch incident where no, that's the one where we was eating
talking about
the mushrooms. Never mind. I forgot about that.
No, but they put it on their skin. That's how they feed themselves. They don't. They have to do it just like us. They have to have food, but it excretes it. When they like you're saying, when they opened one up, they noticed he didn't have any digestive system. He just had.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they're like a plant.
Heart. There was no heart. There was a faint. They said they had a faint vibration or something on him or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember
terminology, but he was, it's like, how's this thing living? It's like, and then they found out from the one guy who lived with one for 3 years, the one that was in Roswell that lived, he explained to him everything. That's how they found out about the skin.
Yeah, anything can live. We don't know on any planet how something can live that could be in a different environment that's just
They breathe hydrogen. Though.
Yeah, or
they
just
breathe
some other
hydrogen
gas or
and
whatever.
they can do
Yeah,
both.
that's
Breathe
that's
hydrogen. They could be
pretty cool.
photosynthetic. you
Yeah.
know.
Well, that ET that was
they
on
can
the
still
one
live.
that lived.
They don't need oxygen. Maybe it's
The ET
kinda
that
neat.
lived on the craft, the other three that
Yeah.
died, he lived with that sergeant who was intuitive, so he lived with him. He told him a lot of stuff. He told him about the skin. They actually ate. They would eat like pasta and salad, but they couldn't have meat.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he said he
Pasta?
tried to eat meat and he threw it up. He's like, no, I can't have that. He's like,
Wow,
Oh.
where'd you read that or see that?
it was the sergeant, one of the sergeants that was from the crash site. They tried to find him, and he was buried. And they heard a voice saying, "Help me!" And they got him out, and ended up being his life partner until he died. He lived for 4 years here. He was an actual engineer for the craft he was in. They were sent from Zeta Reticuli.
I didn't remember hearing that.
Yeah, and he
Weird.
He said he was really never got mad. He was always listening. There was a scientist that put a voice box in him where he could say, because he couldn't talk because he was up here, he was and he could do short sentences, but he ended up dying. They never could figure out what he died of, but he died, and he was alive from 54 to 57, I think it was, from the Roswell crash. Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
Something like that. But there's supposedly film and video and all kinds of stuff. Kind of like the Skinny Bob thing. You ever see that?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I don't.
You never
That
saw
looks
that?
real to
No,
me.
No,
You never saw that?
not Skinny Bob. No.
Oh my gosh!
Pull
you gotta
that up.
see
You gotta
that.
see
Okay. Yeah, this is
an
a new
actual
How
one.
do
for
we
me.
look that up? Skinny
Just
Bob.
put Skinny Bob, yeah.
Oh my gosh! It looks
Skinny
real.
Bob.
Well, it's
thing
from
on.
the 50s, so it's filmed. They already verified it was.
See if it comes up.
Yep.
I'm waiting.
There
There
it
it
is.
is.
Here,
Well, there's people talking
Just go to
about
the
it.
actual- don't go
hold
that.
on.
Go-
Yeah,
yeah.
that's just people talking about it.
Oh, right there.
no, that's the actual film from when they met
we
with
want
Eisenhower.
the original.
That's meeting with
Here it
Eisenhower.
is.
There.
I think this
is
might
it.
be it.
Yeah, this is. Watch this.
It looks real.
You can hear the film, the background, but this was.
How could they do this like animated?
This was coming in to
You'd
see
be
Eisenhower.
surprised, but let me take a look.
it just.
Well, I mean, look at his
the
eyes.
arms are really long,
Well, look at his skin. It wrinkles when
and
he,
he's blinking. It's like, how do they do that? If
they
it
do a
was
slow
fake?
blink. It's like not like we do real fast. It's like a
Well, and those dark eyes are actually lenses.
lenses. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have blue eyes, from what I understand.
Yeah.
The lenses are because of the light. They have to have that. They can't have this light. They have to have that teal pink. They have to have that color lights.
Yeah.
Here, okay, here we go. It's after this. There's actually a whole bunch of film of this, but that was the dead ones. There it
There
is.
it is.
They're showing him a star map or something.
No, he's putting together a puzzle. That's what.
Look at the wrinkles on his eyes. This is kind of dark. If you put it on, his hands go past his knees. He's got real long. That's it.
Oh, there is. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
When was that supposed to be taken? The footage?
They said that's when they met Eisenhower. They came off the craft and it was meeting the Zeta Reticulus. Yeah, Ivan 646 or something uploaded it. He said there was more reels of that, but that he released that to show people that.
Yeah, that was kind of at first. It was like nobody knew who did it. They were trying to figure out
Right.
who it was.
We'll be wrap up here in like 10 minutes. But so why do you think that let's just go, all these people that have spoken out, things have happened to them. I mean, why do you not want them to know? Why do you think the government or the NSA, what's the main thing?
It's all
Why-
about the energy and change of our economy.
That's it though?
Yeah.
That's the main
It's
thing.
money.
It would
It's
destroy
about money.
They say it will destroy our economy. It's not right.
Destroy the economy and the push for a one world government.
And they say that we're paranoid that the religious freaks will come out and say, "Oh no," which is so dumb because even Clifford said that they believe in God just like we do.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Corona did. He said Corona even
Prayed with him when he was
prayed with him one time.
got on his knees
Kneeled
and prayed
with him
He
and prayed
asked
with
"Can I
him one
pray
time.
with
Can I
you?"
pray with you?
So
They're not all,
right,
you know,
well,
they're like us. He said they're just like us in a lot of ways.
but a lot of it is all about the free energy. They want to be able to. The government wants to be able to control stuff. be able to do everything. And it's going to take an act of God to bring this out, as I've heard many people say.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to have to be a crash right in the middle of Los Angeles or Missouri, wherever, you know.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Wish it kind of would happen.
You know, the earliest sighting is not Roswell.
What was the earliest sighting?
In Missouri. It was in 1937 or 47.
37? I thought it was even earlier than that.
Yeah, and a preacher did last rites on the.
Yeah,
they had a
that's
Baptist
right.
preacher did. Yeah, it was in what's that town? It's real familiar. You'll know right off the bat. I can't think of the name. What was that town it was in?
I don't know. It's driving me
Keep
crazy.
thinking St. Genevieve, but I don't think it's
Wasn't
that.
it though? Are you talking about the time when it's like every like couple of weeks it's like people would sit outside almost like in like a church religious service because they thought it was holy, the light, you know.
I'm trying to remember what that was. It was in the. It was. I can't think. We'll have to.
So that was the first sighting, 1937.
Yeah,
You're saying?
Yeah.
Maybe even a little.
It was
earlier
here in
than that.
Missouri. Yeah.
But you were talking about nuclear energy, how it seemed like a lot more sightings happened after the first bomb was dropped.
Yeah, they were shutting off silos in Canada and United States and Russia.
Mainly
had-
United States. We've had the
Russia
most.
called us and said, "Yeah, did you guys have anything?" Nope. Did you? Nope. Everybody was trying to verify who's shutting the silos off. It's like the humans are playing with matches again. We need to shut it off. You know, it's like the people that run the supervisors, the people that run the button, push the button, said they're running fine. They just went offline for some reason.
So anybody who listens to this podcast, we've showed a bunch of videos here, but anything else that they should research in your guys' opinion of?
You know, the major abductees. I mean, they say a lot.
Oh, there's all kinds.
What
of,
was the guy's?
Linda Moulton Howe. Go to earthfiles.com. Linda Moulton Howe. She is she broke the case on the cow mutilation stuff. She is fantastic and does her homework. She's very like
Now
the dark journalist. She's like him. She's very good.
Paula Harris.
The abductee in the fire in the sky incident. Was
yeah, that's what I thought to bring that up.
Travis.
Travis.
Walton, yeah.
He was on Joe Rogan like a few months ago. It was a good
That's
podcast.
right, yes.
Yeah, very good podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But that's an interesting story too.
Also, Russians have had incidents in Lake Baikal as well.
They have their own Roswell too, I think.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
There's pictures of that. I've seen it where it's embedded in the side of the in a forest by the side of the.
Some people wonder if Tunguska was some kind of event like that, but
Really?
yeah, but no. I mean, I don't. Though I'm saying I think that's crap. I think that was just a natural event. Right. But yeah. What else? I'm just trying to rack my brain here. There's so much.
We could do another show.
Yeah, we'll do another show. We'll do another one.
You can keep talking and talking forever.
Gladly.
And we'll bring in next time when we come in for the audience. We'll have a bunch of clips and stuff we can show and kind of break down. And
I'll dig through my little Rolodex of things and
we'll do that. And then so we'll have our own laptops and we'll be like, hey, check this one out. We'll play for the audience. So. Thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. Hopefully, we had a lot of people watching, so not many comments. So people probably were scared to make a comment. But, we did have people watch. So if this podcast is shut down next week, you guys know why. If the government starts knocking on my door,
probably because nobody knew what to say.
Yeah. But thank you guys for all your expertise and all your knowledge, and it's very interesting, and
we'll do it again.
Do it again next month.
Absolute pleasure. Yes.
So thank you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. Apply pressure, put heat on them. 500 degrees on them. Countdown down, levitate. Going up, elevate. Watch me demonstrate. On time, never late. I grind, celebrate. No pump, fake, hesitate. I've been scoring every day. Champagne Perrier. Since 9-3, been in the box, now I'm stepping up to home. Like straight out the sandlot, now I'm plotting on the globe. Go beast.